Alright guys, welcome to another episode of The Brian Show. No, it's been a while, but it's been kind of busy. But I've really been meaning to do this segment, and I've finally gotten around to it. It is my review on the first, the Flash. The new series started a few months ago, and they just tied up the first arc in addition to one kind of, I guess you can call it a standalone issue, a rogue profile. But I just want to talk about it because this is quite possibly currently my favorite ongoing series. The only thing that gives it a little competition is Ultimate Spider-Man, but part of that's because that's the comic that started it all for me. I've been reading that since I was 7. But anyway, I just want to talk a little bit about this comic. You may have heard my review on Rebirth, and you know that's kind of what the series is talking about. Barry's back. Barry Allen, the original Flash from Earth 1 is back. The one who started it all, really. And it's just been an amazing series. Geoff Johns has not let us down whatsoever. The man just knows what to do with the character, I really think. For me, the series, a little prior to Flash Rebirth is when I started reading DC, and I was really interested in the Flash, and I'd heard a lot about this Wally West guy, and I was like, well, he's cool, and I even read a little from Rogue War and all that, and I liked him, and I was like, but who's Barry Allen? I wanted to know more about Barry, and you got to realize I was born in '93, several years, almost a decade after Barry Allen had been dead. And and even still, he died in like what 1985, 1986. Crisis on Infinite Earths, issue number 8, and he's been gone for a really long time. And that's what's really interesting about this series is that for a lot of us who are not new, but newer to comics, this younger generation, we don't know much about Barry. And Geoff Johns really knew how to take the character and modernize him and bring him into this real world. And I would say even that is even helped even more so by the fact that Francis Manapul is brought on as an artist for this. And I just want to show you this because it is just beautiful. And these are just covers. I don't want to show you too much of the interiors, but I mean, that's just, I don't know if you can get a good picture of that, but that's just beautiful. The guy has Manapul. He's done everything in the Flash that you could possibly do in the best way. Because I mean, Barry Allen at least. Sorry, I'm kind of dropping things here, but Barry Allen at least had been kind of this guy who we'd all heard about, but I mean by this point was referred to as a saint, and this guy who died to save the universe. And by my kind of definition at least, he seemed kind of old, kind of, oh whatever, I know nothing about him. Like he seemed like even if he did come back to life, he'd be like your grandpa saying, back in my day we respected our whatever. But he's really brought him back in a way that respects the character to who he was, but at the same time doesn't make him just somebody completely out of time. Manapul's really done that in bringing a youthfulness to Barry back. I mean, granted he's an adult, but he doesn't seem like he's vastly he's really old. The art, I mean, between him wearing hoodies and just the styling, and Manapul had done, at least from what I had seen, I'd also worked with Geoff Johns on that Superboy Adventure Comics a few issues after Superboy had come back to life. But man, the artist, I can literally say Manapul is the best artist in comics right now. And some of you may disagree with me on that one, and I don't mean any disrespect by it. It's just that he's so damn good. And Johns is really taking this whole aspect of Barry Allen is more than just a Flash. He's a crime scene investigator, CSI type of working guy. Like, he's a scientist, and he's really smart. And I think a lot of that came across, too, and before issue 1 came out was the Flash Secret Files and Origins number 1 came out, which was also awesome, seeing Scott Collins come back, who had done a lot of the work on Flash that with Geoff Johns back during their Wally West run. And he's always good. It's always awesome to see him do stuff, including the Rogue Profile issue 7 that came out this last week, which was also amazing. I also want to say that. I mean, the Flash is some villains that, I mean, most villains that you look at, if you knew nothing of the Flash, and on the surface you think Captain Boomerang, Gorilla Grodd, like, this guy's fighting guys in ridiculous get-ups and monkeys, it seems preposterous, but this team, because I think they're both just really working on this really hard, they've just really know how to handle these characters and make them in a realistic light. When you read this, you think, especially this last Rogue Profile, I've read all the old Rogue Profiles, excuse me, and I would argue this is the best one, just because it makes so much sense. I mean, Digger just comes across as this character, like, I mean, he's really could be any one of us, and that's what really makes the Rogue Profiles for me kind of just really powerful, even just more so than the entire story arc that Johns could do, is that he takes these guys and looks at them more just guys who run around in awkward costumes, but where do they come from? And how does somebody go from being a normal person to running around in a ridiculous getup, calling themselves Captain Cold? You know. And yes, this one was no exception. Such a tremendous issue. But really, this story arc is phenomenal, and I'm so excited for what's more to come. I know next issue is Secret Origin of the Reverse Flash, who is my personal favorite villain out of anybody. And then we also got Flashpoint coming up in the near future, which is going to be awesome. My only complaint, and I know that it's not something he can really fix as much as because they're trying to focus on Barry, you know, trying to reestablish him as the Flash, and you can really see that. And I would say in issue 2, when you see him rebuild that entire apartment, it's phenomenal. You see how fast the Flash is. You see how powerful he really is. When he jumps and he saves those guys into the helicopter, that's amazing. And once again, Manapul's art just shining. I don't know anyone who's doing better than him right now because it's just amazing. This is easily DC's best ongoing, and some of you say Green Lantern, Green Lantern's really good too. But if you're not reading this, you desperately need to be. It's one of those series, you know, there's some series that you'll read and be like, oh, that was good and that was okay, and I can literally say this is one for the ages, man. This is one people are going to look back on and think, do you remember, you know, when they say, oh, do you remember Marv Wolfman and George Perez were on the Teen Titans, and how it's kind of status quo for that series, and oh, do you remember, even, this might seem kind of controversial, but Stan Lee and Steve Ditko's run on Amazing Spider-Man, I think this stuff even is on that same level as that. It's that good. Simply because these guys understand the character, and they understand where he fits in modern day, and who he'd be, and how he even interacts with other characters, and which is something I'm hoping to see more. Sorry, I kind of got off track, but it's something I'm hoping to see more, is see more of Wally back, more of where he's at now with his kids, with the new costume, which is really cool, and definitely something that we really needed seeing, as a lot of people didn't know how to tell apart Barry Allen and Wally West, aside from, I mean, the belt and the eye color. There really wasn't much more than that, and now we can obviously see that. But I'm hoping to see more of Wally West. I've heard rumors that they're starting up another side series of the Flash called Speed Force, dedicated to everyone in the Speed Force connected to it, excluding Barry Allen. So we'll see more of, hopefully, Wally West, Bart Allen, even though he's with the Titans, and Jesse Quick, Jake Garrick, Max Mercury, and it's going to be really exciting to see all that stuff. Honestly, it's a good time to be a Flash fan. I'm a fairly new Flash fan myself, and he's easily my second favorite hero right now, right behind Spider-Man. I mean, and Spider-Man will always be my number one, just in case anyone's wondering. But it's really awesome. There's work being done on the Flash film. The script is just about being finished up. In case you haven't heard, for the movie, Mark Guggenheim and a few others worked on it. And Mark Guggenheim wrote some of the Fastest Man Alive stuff, the Bart Allen as a Flash stuff, which is really good. Well, not really, but it's pretty good. It was worth reading, definitely. I know this has been kind of me just ranting and talking, but I cannot stress how good this is. Also, something I want to talk about just really quick, I think, before I wrap this up, is the Rogues. There's a lot of build-up for the Rogues, and something that's really cool. You know, we'd seen the Rogues, how John's worked with the Rogues up against Wally West. Now we're seeing how Barry acts towards them, how they act towards Barry, because they'd always been referring to as, you know, Wally, we kind of resent you for not being as good as Barry, and we miss him. And now he's back, and we're seeing, is it this kind of cat and mouse game that they always played before? Kind of like a, oh, I'm going to rob this bank, see if you can stop me, Flash. It's really interesting to see how Barry approaches them, how they approach Barry, especially with this whole break glass thing, throw back to Sam Scudder stuff. There's a lot of suspense, a lot of build-up. Also, the twist in this is phenomenal. Something I did not see coming. The Renegades and stuff, the future rogues that are good guys. Honestly, it's awesome stuff. You need to read this if you haven't read it. I'm sorry, I hope I haven't spoiled too much for it. I tried to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, but please read this. Please keep reading this, because I assure you it's going to be awesome. As long as Manapul and Johns are still on this book, it's going to be good. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned, and hopefully I'll be back with some more soon.